everyone! Some of you might have noticed I posted an extra short video this Friday. You know, something really silly. But we cannot be serious all the time. We need to have some fun once in a while. And so I have like 3 or 4 other ideas right now, and I will try to sneak in at least one a month. Something fun. But for today, we are visiting Port Jefferson in Long Island, which is about 60 miles away from Manhattan. Now, I really just want to show you the waterfront at Port Jefferson, as I also want to show you one more place in this video. Therefore, do not be surprised if at some point in the future, I will revisit this area and show you all the amazing places to see here, because it's definitely worth a visit. It's a gorgeous place to spend your day in. But I like to mix my videos. Sometimes I focus on one particular location, like I did in my last video with Fort Tilden. Other times I like to follow a theme, like I did with the video about George Washington and New York City. And yet other times, like in this one, I like to show you 2 or 3 locations which are nearby and both interesting to visit. So I try to have something for everyone. This here is the Old Mill Creek, and the reason for the name is that there used to be a major mill here which operated 24 hours a day, and for many years it also had like a lumber department which prepared lumber for the local shipbuilding. In fact, Port Jefferson was originally all about shipbuilding, and when you enter the waterfront area, you right away see some things that pay tribute to this history. Like this monument, which is dedicated to those who have sailed from here either for trade or for personal adventures. And a little further down is another monument. This one is dedicated to all the shipbuilders. The area used to be called Drowned Meadow, and already in the 1700s, even though it had very few homes here and people, it already had a shipyard. As the village grew, the shipbuilding and repair yards grew as well, to the point where it became a major shipbuilding hub on Long Island. In 1836, the people voted to change the name to Port Jefferson, named after Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd President of the United States, and the person responsible for the writing of the first draft of the Declaration of Independence. Here you can take a ferry to cross over into Bridgeport, Connecticut, our neighboring state. The Bridgeport and Port Jefferson Ferry began as a company in 1883, which means this is one of the oldest continuous ferry companies in the United States. The trip lasts about an hour and 15 minutes, and you travel a distance of about 18 miles. And you can take your car along with you, of course, after you pay your dues. Here you see the ship called Grand Republic, but the company has 3 ships which operate, and I just read an article that a 4th ship is supposed to be added this year to the lineup. So I'm guessing the service will become more reliable in case they need to do maintenance on one of the ships, or maybe use all 4 of them in peak times. In 1917, with America's entry into World War I, several shipyards were consolidated into one called Bailey's Shipyard, Incorporated, as the United States government gave lots of contracts to build steel ships. And so the shipyard here in Port Jefferson grew very quickly to over 1,000 workers. And with that, you need a place for them to live in, to eat, and so on. So you had hotels, bars built in the village. However, this expansion did not last a very long time, as in 1923, the shipyard closed. And with it, many hotels and businesses, and the economic downfall set in. In fact, all this that you see was sold to the Standard Oil Company, which today is ExxonMobil. So yes, ExxonMobil Corporation owned the land, and only in the 1990s was it bought by the Port Jefferson village. And with time, it turned into this that you see here. And today, the focus is on tourism. Not only is it a beautiful village, but there's lots to do here, like arts and shopping, restaurants, like here. You can order a drink, something to eat, and enjoy the view. Look, there's even a big chair on which you can take pictures on. This building, what today is the village center, originally was the machine shop at the Bailey's shipyard. Inside, today, there are art exhibits, special events, and an archive room. Now that I will definitely have to check out at some point in the future, as I still didn't have the chance to do so. This building here was also part of the Bailey's shipyard. It essentially stored supplies for merchant vessels. And as you walk down the street a little further, check this building out from 1682. How cool is that? Roadhouse. Okay, it's not Roadhouse, it's Row House, but I just could not resist saying Roadhouse. I finally had an opportunity to do so. I watched the new Roadhouse movie on Amazon Prime, but I still love the original one from 1989 with Patrick Swayze. Okay, now let's travel a short distance away from Port Jefferson to East Shoreham. It's about a 10-mile ride where we have the Wardenclyffe Nikola Tesla's laboratory. I know I can just say lab, but laboratory sounds so much more dramatic. Nikola Tesla was born in 1856 in what was the Austrian Empire in Europe, into an ethnic Serbian family. He came to the United States, to New York, at the age of 28, and for a short time worked in Lower Manhattan in the Edison Machine Works, which was owned by Thomas Edison. But shortly afterwards left and worked in other labs. I think even in like New Jersey and Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Colorado Springs, and he had 3 labs in New York City before he bought this land here in 1901. And this is the last remaining lab of Tesla today. It was known for this transmission tower, which you see here. The tower was demolished and sold for scrap once the lab was closed. Here I'm just walking in the back of the property. I thought that maybe I could get a glimpse from the back, but you cannot see anything really as it's behind the trees. But Tesla was a handsome fella, as you see here on this photo. He was thin, tall, elegant, stayed in the exclusive New York City hotels, hanging around with influential people, but hands off because he never married or had kids. In fact, at one point he said something along the lines that no great inventions were created by married men. So he saw really women as an obstacle, a distraction to his work, to science on some level. But here he received a large sum of money from J.P. Morgan, this wealthy financier and banker. Well, we have J.P. Morgan banks till this day, right? But here he gave money to Nikola to work on and develop a way to achieve contact with Europe wirelessly. And so building was designed by Stanford White, who, by the way, was the same person that designed Washington Square Arch in Manhattan, which I showed you in a video 2 weeks ago. Nicola wanted to make wireless technology accessible around the world. In fact, in an interview to Collier's magazine in 1926, he said, and I quote, "We shall be able to communicate with one another instantly, irrespective of distance. We shall see and hear one another as perfectly as though we were face to face." Wow, right? What a prediction! Here you really have someone who was ahead of their time. But unfortunately, the financial support simply dried up. Especially with now radio being used, JP Morgan, nor others, simply did not see the point of investing in what probably seemed like a mad science experiment of wireless communications around the world. Nicola tried to finance all of this on his own, but the mounting debt eventually led to the property being foreclosed. Tesla is known for many inventions, but probably one of the biggest is the AC power, the alternating current, which is used in our homes. And then to others he contributed, like I think the X-ray machine. I know that he made some contributions to it, which simply made it better. And the hot topic is the invention of radio. The credit eventually went to Marconi, who successfully used radio waves and in fact got a Nobel Prize in physics for it. However, the United States Supreme Court ruled right after Nikola's death that it was indeed Tesla who should get the credit as he filed his patents earlier. But that is a pretty big topic to get into. In New York City, Tesla always stayed in hotels like this one. This was called the Gerlach Hotel, but eventually renamed the Radio Wave Building in honor of Nikola Tesla, who stayed here while working on his inventions. It is located on 27th Street by 6th Avenue. Don't believe me? There is even a plaque dedicated to him on the building itself. Interesting thing about Nikola is that even though he stayed in hotels, he was a germaphobe, so he had extreme fear of germs, and he was a very private person. And as he became older, he became more isolated from others, really hanging out with his pigeons in hotel rooms. But you know what is cool? Right next to the hotel, you have this bar/restaurant named after Oscar Wilde, who was an Irish poet and playwright. It is just a beautiful place on the inside. It was closed when I was here, but maybe in the future I can show it to you inside. But on the street, look how magnificent they build a dining shed. During COVID, restaurants in New York City opened these spaces on the street next to the restaurants where people could eat. The argument being it is outside, so less likely for people to catch COVID. And so you saw lots and lots of these quickly put up sheds, sometimes with questionable designs, but not this one. Oh no, this one is actually beautiful. Okay, but here the camera was screaming that it is recording me. So let's move on and let me show you one more place. But look at this gorgeous view of the Empire State Building right behind the hotel itself. So finally, I walked past Madison Square Garden, and what you are looking at in front is the Penn Station. All these places I just have to visit at some point or another in the future. But right there to the left in that building, I used to teach classes there for about a year and a half or so I picked up some experience. And finally, we reach 34th Street and 8th Avenue. On the corner, we have the New Yorker Hotel. This is where Tesla stayed for the last 10 years of his life, passing away in his room at the age of 86. It's a pretty building, completed in 1930. It is over 40 stories high and has over 1,000 guest rooms. Just like with the previous hotel, so the same here on 34th Street, it also has a plaque dedicated to Tesla. I hope you enjoyed this short video. It was interesting, and as I leave you with a beautiful view of the Empire State Building, I am wishing all of you the best, and I will see you soon in more New York locations. Bye.